Trudeau claimed he was resigning, but what he really said was that he planned to resign. So he hasn't resigned. He's still prime minister. He said he would resign when the Liberal Party had chosen a new leader. But he prorogued Parliament in the meantime. So he froze Parliament. And he did this, with the sort of convenient timing of, he knew that these tariff threats from Trump were coming. So he prorogued Parliament and sort of, froze the government. And in the meantime, it appears that the Liberal Party has selected, they haven't officially, but they are behaving as though there's a new party leader in Mark Carney. There's been no democratic process around that. Mark Carney is, Trudeau's pick. They've known each other for a long time. He sort of rejected Chrystia Freeland in favor of Mark Carney. And Mark Carney's been sort of out in the world and in the media speaking as though he's a government official, which he's not. He hasn't been elected to anything. And speaking as though he's the leader, as though he's the PM. And Parliament isn't going to be restored probably until the end of March. And in the meantime, they've been riling up Canadians with all this fear-mongering around Trump's attack on Canada and turning Canadians against Americans. People have been blaming Trump for that, but I blame Trudeau and the Liberal Party for doing that. Because they're taking it as an opportunity to play patriotic and to play Team Canada. Everybody hated Trudeau. The Liberal Party was dead, like in December. Like it was done for. And Poilievre was set to win the election, no contest. And all of a sudden, they've created a crisis, right? They've created a crisis for people to rally around. The Liberal Party are now Team Canada. And we need to protect Canadian sovereignty and fight back against mean America and mean Trump. Not only have they, they're making things worse in terms of their relationships with their relationship with America, which is really stupid if they don't want a trade war. But I think that they do want a trade war because it serves. What does Trudeau give a shit about our economy? He destroyed our economy. He doesn't care if it gets worse as long as he and Mark Carney and his Liberal Party can play hero.
Right. It's so interesting that they're fighting nationalism with nationalism, right? Just the rallying around the Canadian identity in Canada. I really don't think they're playing fair. It just reminds me of the Kamala thing here of our guy can't win. We'll just manufacture a new guy and shine that person up and can hypnotize the masses to believe they always like that person.
Yeah, it's sort of like, wait, where did this guy come from? Why is he doing interviews on American news shows as though he's representing Canada? This guy came from the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, and Goldman Sachs. And his politics are the same as Trudeau. He's a globalist. And I don't know if this is working on Canadians as well as it looks like it's working, because you don't really know who on Twitter is sort of like a paid bot essentially. And the Canadian media is mostly funded, at least in part, by the Liberal government, with the exception of the National Post and Rebel News. So all of those outlets have always been messenger services for the Liberal Party. So now they're saying that, all of a sudden, in a matter of a month, the Liberal Party was almost dead, but now they're sort of equal in the race to Poilievre. Now, they're sort of almost 50-50, right? They're a real competitor, because Mark Carney was not a super compelling guy. He wasn't super well known to regular Canadians, I don't think, prior to all this. So it doesn't really make sense. So I don't know if those polls are real. I don't know if this reporting is accurate or reflective of how Canadians feel at all. If it is true, it's super disappointing. It does seem like a lot of Canadians have completely forgotten what happened during COVID, and they're just really open to emotional manipulation again.
Well, so many were fine with what happened during COVID.
That's true.
Right? I remember watching radical activists from Canada that I had known through Deep Green Resistance, through radical feminism, people who had espoused that they want to destroy industrial civilization, calling the truckers the Freedom Convoy, DUMB, at the end of the word free, and just really vilifying anyone who wasn't getting in line and getting the shot and agreeing to have all their personal freedom taken away. Freedom is stupid. And these were the radicals. And it seems like a lot of Canadians just rolled with it and were perfectly fine with it, which is true of a lot of Americans too, as well. But
yeah, that's true. I think you're right, because I think that a lot of the Canadians who are falling for this fake nationalism or fake patriotism thing and going like rah, 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 Team Canada, along with Mark Carney and apparently his Liberals, I think those are all the people who still think that we're dumb conspiracy theorists and anti-vaxxers and really haven't caught up with the reality of what happened during the past 5 years. I mean, like, I posted something on Twitter and then to Instagram, and my Instagram posts automatically go to Facebook. So I don't actually use Facebook that much, but my Instagram posts, I'll go there. So often there'll be a bunch of comments and I haven't even seen them because I forgot to look over there, but I did look over there today. And the post, and it's so funny, the difference in comments that I get on Instagram versus X versus Facebook, because the Facebook comments are almost always from, I don't know, like the older grad femme types who are still, and you know, those kinds of, and Canadians who are still sort of on there and like really stuck in their algorithms. So are like, what are you talking about, Meghan? What is wrong with you? You're so stupid and crazy. They don't ever make arguments, right? They just are like, what happened to you? I don't even know who you are anymore. And I'm like, I guess not. Where have you been over the past 5 years? Like,
right.
But they just can't seem to adjust their brains. But so what I had posted was, I said, Canada becoming the 51st state would be an inarguably far better outcome for Canadians than another Liberal term, which I think a lot of people misinterpreted as me saying that Canada should become the 51st state. I don't think it would be bad for Canada at all to become the 51st state. I think it would be good for Canada, but that wasn't really my point. My point was that if you guys elect the Liberal Party again, that's it. You're screwed. And yeah, of course you would be better off as the 51st state. You know, like, you might have a chance if you elect Poilievre. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, he was seeming pretty good. I haven't heard much from him lately, which is odd considering all that's going on. You know, maybe he wouldn't save Canada, but I had some hope for Canada's, you know, Canada sort of regaining, or Canadians regaining their rights and freedoms and free speech and ending the gender ideology stuff. And dealing with the immigration problem and the like brutal economy and inflation right now. But I don't know for sure. But you know, the rage that people, you know, the way that people react to that comment is so emotional and so irrational. You know, we have to, what about Canada's sovereignty? I can't, traitor. I got called a traitor so many times, and I'm like, a traitor to what? Communism?
Right.
Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, do you want to be a communist country and have no rights and freedoms? Or do you want rights and freedoms?
Led by a banker. They're rallying around a banker. Like, that's generally, I thought the left didn't like bankers. This is so bizarre to me, the flip that has happened in the embrace of totalitarian groupthink and the love of big pharma and the love of big business and the love of bankers going on the so-called left.
Right.
Fascinating.
And a globalist,
Yeah.
they think they're rallying around patriotism
Yes. And it's globalism
coming
wrapped up.
from a globalist and a
Mm-hmm.
globalist party. Trudeau's a globalist, Carney's a globalist. I, and they think that patriotism is disgusting when it comes from America.
Right. Right.
It's just I don't think they think at all. Like it's so it almost makes me sick. Like it gives me anxiety to think about what's wrong with these people's brains that they can't seem to adjust to reality. They're just reacting and reacting and reacting, and they're not thinking. And I'm like, you know what? Like, if you want to do this to yourselves, then I guess this is what you deserve. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
help. Like, I'm not against you. Like, if you hate Canada so much, then leave. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I
Right.
mean, I did leave because I didn't want to live in Canada and I was very scared and concerned about what was going on there. So I left, but thanks. But why would I be saying this if I wanted the end of Canada? Like, I'm trying to help you save yourselves and you don't want it and you don't want to hear
Right.
it. So I don't know what to tell you.
The thing that distresses me most about Canada, and this is just my observation as someone who doesn't live there, but it looks to me like it's a complete propaganda state, similar
Mm.
to other totalitarian regimes. And can you explain the media laws that prevent Canadians from accessing certain media online?
Well, what happened? I mean, so first of all, it is a propaganda state because most of the media is funded and therefore run by the government.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have a really small media landscape, so there's just not a lot of diversity in terms of the media. Like that, what I just said is also true in the States to a certain degree, but you
Mm-hmm.
guys also had, there's a lot of right-wing media. There's just way, 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 way more media. We didn't
Yeah.
really have there was a couple right-wing media outlets, and then the rest is, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, progressive, I guess. And then they decided to limit Canadians' access to Canadian news online for some reason, but then they also changed the CRTC regulations to include social media, so YouTube and Facebook and things like that, which meant that the CRTC, which is a government entity, gets to control what Canadians see in their feeds.
Oh my
So
God.
they took me out. I was, right out of the algorithm during COVID. And I seem to have made my way actually back in a little bit on Instagram because I think Meta has actually been changing some of their
Yeah, the wind.
algorithmic limitations based on their new pro speech
Right.
views, like which I
The
don't.
winds are blowing in a different direction. So it's similar to here. They're just more upfront about it. Like here, the government's, oh, it's not a violation of the First Amendment for the government to request censorship
Well, they
on
pretend that they're
behalf.
protecting Canadians from hate speech.
Mm-hmm.
I think I
And they
think
could do it more overtly there.
Yeah, I think they're just more upfront about it. And Canadians buy
Mm.
it. I mean, one of the main differences between Canada and America is the Americans have a real fight in them, and a real, commitment to maintaining free speech and their
Mm-hmm.
individual rights. So, their property rights and their gun rights. And Canadians don't have that. Canadians are more trusting of their government and of institutions, and a lot of people in Canada think that free speech is dangerous, actually.
Yeah.
And they definitely think that guns are dangerous. So you know, they support gun laws, and then they claim that, Trump is attacking them. They're under attack by America and they're going to fight back. And I'm like, how are you going to fight back?
Yeah.
Literally with what army? Um, and you guys hate guns, so America has way, 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 like Americans are far more armed than you are.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the reason that you're protected is because America protects you. America has been paying for Canada's NATO membership.
Really?
Like, I mean, like billions of dollars of it, probably not the entire membership fee, but the membership fee is like billions of
Mm.
dollars. Yeah. Trump was like, he said this reason. He's like, we've been floating Canada for all these years. Why? Why should we do that? Like, maybe you should just be a state. Doesn't that make more sense if we're
Wow.
paying your way?
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, what do you do? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? You're going to fight back against America? Are you crazy? Shut up.
Mm.
Play nice or fuck off. Like, what are you doing? Like, and then you're blaming Trump for creating this like antagonistic relationship. Trudeau started the antagonistic relationship by insulting Trump a bunch, and now they're making it worse. They are having Canadians booing the American national anthem at sports games. They're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, it's not
They're
good.
again, he created the mass division in Canada more than I'd ever seen in my lifetime for his own political purposes. And now they're doing it again and nobody sees it.
Mm. I wonder what will happen. It's wild watching them manufacture a candidate and hypnotize everyone into believing that that's who they chose. That's who we want. But it's not new. I mean, this is just politics.